Jonathan Tobin, editor-in-chief of the Jewish News Syndicate. Welcome back to you. Let's begin with the hostages. There is a lot that cannot be shared for, as I mentioned, obvious reasons. But are we still to believe the focus is on women and children who are being held by Hamas, that will be the priority?
That appears to be the deal. At least that's what the reports that I'm hearing say. I think we have to understand that Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government are faced with an impossible decision. And one, no matter which choice they make, they're bound never to be forgiven for it. Obviously, on the one hand, they have to get as many hostages out as they can, women, children, anybody. They have to save as many of those lives as possible. If they don't, they won't be forgiven for that. On the other hand, if that deal, for which Israel will pay in terms of letting up on the offensive against Hamas, letting in supplies, who knows what else, and also I've heard perhaps the release of some Palestinian terrorists, that's another egregious deal. Netanyahu and other Israeli governments have made lopsided deals that redounded to their discredit and ultimately strengthened Hamas. And if this leaves hundreds of other hostages still in Hamas hands, it's a very high price to pay. And even if it's just a temporary pause that they're paying for it, it's going to be very hard. The pressure on Israel not to resume its attack against Hamas will be unbearable, probably from Washington, probably from the international community. There are no good choices for Netanyahu in Israel right here. The thing is, he has to continue with the offensive against Hamas. He has to eliminate Hamas. And that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's not going to, not even a matter of weeks. It's a matter of months. And Hamas is going to play the hostages. And, Israelis want the hostages out. The Jewish world, the world wants the hostages out. But, within Jewish sources, we have a long tradition. Unfortunately, there are prayers in the Jewish liturgy for the safety of hostages. And it's like, why would there be prayers in our liturgy for that? Because, well, over the last 2,000 years, a lot of Jews have been victimized and taken hostages. We also have a lot of religious law about it, that there is an obligation to redeem hostages, that's a priority for any community. But there's also religious authority that speaks of that you can't pay too high a price because then you'll only encourage the taking of more hostages. And this is playing out in real time for the state of Israel right now. And, as I said, there are no good choices here. He can't say no to a hostage deal, but by saying yes, he's weakening Israel's position and potentially strengthening Hamas's ability to get away with mass murder, something that he can't do either.
Right. It's sort of the idea of the least bad option. And in terms of Hamas, I mean, the card they have to play is the fact that they have Israeli hostages. But to your second point that you're making, these Palestinians who are being held in Israel, these are terrorists, as you mentioned. How many and what do we know about an exchange of these people who have been held?
Well, the number isn't that high. It's not like Israel made a deal in 2011 where they released over 1,000 terrorists, most with blood on their hands, to get one Israeli soldier out of Hamas captivity. This is probably only a small number of them. I don't have an exact number. There's some talk that there are only women because there are many female Palestinians who have taken part in terrorism. And that's part of that price. But again, if this enables Hamas to survive, if it strengthens their ability to survive, and victory for them means survival. If they are still standing when the guns stop firing in Gaza, whenever that is, and the pressure on Israel to stop is intolerable, will only grow more intolerable, then that is a victory for the terrorists. Then they will get away with mass murder. And, that's something for which Netanyahu will also never be forgiven. And if that happens, then rightly so. And that is not something that people who care about, never mind care about Israel, who care about the survival of the West and the battle against Islamist terrorism should not wish.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.